As a foreigner, it's been my experience that whenever I want to do something and have a customer or a client in Japan, if I try to do it completely on my own, it's very difficult. But if I can get some Japanese person to introduce me, then it moves very quickly.
Excuse me, Masen.
Welcome to another episode of the Excuse Me Masen podcast. I am your host, Saul, and joining me today is Keito Suzuki, aka at Nomad Push on YouTube. Man, your channel is growing crazy fast, bro. What can you give me any pointers? What's your formula? What's your secret?
Man, secret. Just maybe something that is I'm really focusing is the title and thumbnail. Yeah,
Title and thumbnail.
it's I feel like my thumbnail is like really on the line of clickbait or not,
Yeah.
and but I remember this top YouTuber named PewDiePie say your content can be clickbait as long as your video is really good. So
Oh,
so that's what I'm focusing to. So I make my thumbnail and title a little bit on the line of clickbait or not, and then but I make sure the content right is a good content, so
mhm.
they're not gonna feel that bad. And I do get little hate comment about like how I'm really clickbaiting on the title or thumbnail, but when I look at my the good and bad button,
Yeah.
it's like 99 point like one or two or like that, or
Percent positive.
so yeah, so I guess it's okay, right, as long as the content is good.
Yeah. I mean, no matter how hard you try, you can never appease or you can never satisfy everybody, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, your channel grew from, of course, zero to what is it now, like 40,000
Yes, it's I think
in
42,000 in
42,000 in like 6 weeks or something?
yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So for anybody listening, again, it's at Nomad Push on YouTube, capital N, capital P. So check him out. If Japanese life content that isn't touristy is in your wheelhouse, you'll definitely like his content. His videos are range from what, 5 to 15 minutes? Was it
Um 8 to 15 minutes,
8 to 15 minutes?
yes.
Yeah, perfect timing. Not too much talking and a lot of going places, and then experiencing like new friends and stuff like that. That part I really like, where you're meeting new people all the time. That's really nice. I don't know if you how much you're keeping up with the news, but I saw this article about 7-Eleven installing AI cameras in 500 stores across Japan so that they can observe shopping habits of people and then improve their profit margins. Have you seen that?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting because the tweaks that they can make are going to be not so major, but I'm assuming that the AI will be able to catch things that they cannot afford to hire somebody to do 24/7.
Yeah, when I heard that now, I just felt like it's like this whole, even YouTube or Google, how they read your cookies or your history of your search engine or whatever,
Yeah.
and then they try to show you the right ad, and
Mhm.
show you the right video if it's YouTube. Like I felt like that's happening in the real world too, and I'm like, man, I cannot imagine like how different it's gonna be. But
Yeah. So, like, do you use AI in your own business as a YouTuber?
recently, yes, because I need to make title or
Okay.
English title or something like
Mhm.
that, or recently I do a lot of subtitle, right, for my video,
Okay.
and I really suck at that little grammar. Yeah, so I use ChatGPT a lot.
Yeah. For grammar checking.
Mhm.
Nice. Yeah. In my case, as a teacher, I rarely ever use it except when for example, I have a student whose parent emails me and says, "Hey, my son or my daughter needs to write this speech, and they only have a few days to get it done. Can you help them?" And being that these lessons are only an hour long, it's unrealistic to think I can write a whole essay. I mean, I'm not supposed to be writing the whole essay for them. They're supposed to be the one writing it, right? So what I do is use ChatGPT to create an outline based off of what the student wants to say. And then I can give them the outline and then they can write out the whole thing themselves when they get home. But that's perfect because obviously, by what we just said, you and I are both self employed here in Japan. And that's what I wanted to talk about. So, we're going to talk about self employment in Japan. Like, what are the pros? What are the cons? And any stories that we want to share along the way. I'm sure you have a lot, but for the limited amount of time we have for this episode, maybe we just pick a few from each of us and then we can share it. So for segment one, we're going to talk about our journeys to becoming self-employed, including the actual process. Like, for example, any difficulties getting a business license or anything like that. So in my case, I used to be employed by international school here in Tokyo, and I was working there for about 3 years. And then towards the end, I don't want to give too much information about what happened, but basically the business shut down for one reason or another, and my boss helped me by sending a lot of the students my way and saying, "Hey, do you have a place that you can teach? I'll send everybody to you." All I had to do was just make a business license real quick. And it was pretty easy in my case because my wife is with me. So I just had her go with me and then we just filled out all the paperwork. And then a lot of the students from the school that I was working at, I was already their teacher. So they just signed up. And then I've been self employed since then. As far as the work life goes, it's like, I would say being employed, you of course get off. And then once you're off, your job is like completely out of your mind. You know, there's an on and off switch for work. But when you're self employed, that switch is pretty much always on. And it sounds like it's bad, but from my experience, that on switch has a dimmer. So imagine a light switch that can have a knob that turns, right? So you can be almost off, or you can be fully on, or you can be anywhere in a range between that. And for me, that makes it really much more exciting than just working for somebody because you can train yourself to be more resilient to the different things that cause you stress or make you tired by whatever reason or whatever method that you take. And that's been my experience. Yeah. So what's been your experience um, on your
Right,
quest to being self-employed?
right. So, so I was working at a real estate company that specialized in share houses,
Yeah.
and for like five years, I think. Yeah, and yeah, I got really tired. Like a typical salaryman job where you gotta work long hours and you get those stress from your bosses. For my case, maybe more like customers. Yeah, and yeah, I just got tired, so I quit. Even low income too, right? I wasn't really about income too
Hmm.
much. I'm not really that type of guy. I rather like to just like success in not really about money, but more like you do good in job in the work, or you do good in the company, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I quit, and then I was, yeah, right away. The only thing I was thinking is self-employment. Right after I quit, I wasn't thinking of finding job,
Okay.
and then yeah, I happened to meet this guy. He was my ex coworker in the real estate company, but he quit first, and then yeah, I met him. So both of us quitted the same company, and he was doing like selling used brand stuff, like a Louis Vuitton wallet, Gucci bag, something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Luxury goods.
right. So he's he buy the secondhand stuff and then sell it on like Japanese eBay ish. It's called Mercari or Yahoo auction.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I he said, if you help me for free, then I can teach you everything. Like I'll teach you all the know-how. And then yeah. So that's where my self-employment kind of started. But it was really hard. It was really difficult because for 5 years I was able to work hard in a company. I feel like there's your boss, and they push you to work, right? Even though you're hangover, you have to work,
Yeah.
like but when self-employment, right, you tend to, not everybody maybe, but for me, I really procrastinate really easy. I become
Okay.
lazy very easy. So that was the very hard part. Yeah, if I focus, I'm sure that I would have able to make money, because I know my other friends too did the same business, and they were able to make like good amount of money. Like they get like almost like 5 grand. Maybe with the rate now is like four grand like that USD.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think I could have get the same amount, but yeah, it was really hard for me because yeah, I'm a lazy person. And then yeah, I kind of stopped doing that. Like maybe just gradually I fade out. And while I'm kind of fading out, I started YouTube by myself, and but my own channel didn't really work out, and then I happened to join my friend's YouTube, which is Robin Toyoshi. It's like a skateboard channel toward Japanese people. And
Yeah.
that worked out in the beginning. Long story short, that channel didn't go good too. And then I end up doing the channel right now. And
Mhm.
this channel is about to, it's almost like or maybe it's already past the Japanese channel.
Nice. So the work schedule is probably longer than because you like to procrastinate.
You got to do a lot of stuff but on your own, right? Or how do I say this? Like on your own pace. Like there's nothing pushing you.
Yeah.
But now it's different, right? YouTube is, you have the audience, they're expecting video. If it's every Saturday, then they're expecting that video, and that really pressures you. And
Hmm.
that really helped me like not procrastinate. And another thing is, right now I'm traveling, right? So I gotta keep moving. It seems like it's so much pressure and hustling, but it matches my lazy personality. So now it works out. Yeah.
So you make yourself accountable. Nice. I think that's perfect too, since we're gonna go into the challenges next. Like the different challenges, such as the effects of the pandemic on being self-employed. For example, in my case, as a foreigner, it's been my experience that whenever I want to do something and have a customer or a client in Japan, if I try to do it completely on my own, it's very difficult. But if I can get some Japanese person to introduce me, then it moves very quickly. And then I was introduced to this concept called being inner circled by somebody I met who was talking to business owners in Japan who have worked with foreigners before. And those foreigners that they have worked with before are now millionaires in Japan. And their story was that it was basically the same story that I'm telling you right now, what my experience has been, but with much larger businesses. Yeah, it's definitely true. Whenever I try to market myself, it always ends up in me having a discussion with somebody. And then, for example, if I know another teacher, which I do, Japanese teacher, Japanese person who teaches English, they explained to me that they tried to introduce people to me, but the people tend to be very intimidated by the fact that I'm foreign, by the fact that my English, of course, is going to be way better than what they're expecting, and also the thought that my Japanese might not be where they hope it could be. And so then from that point, I never get the connection. What ends up happening is they try to tell that teacher, "Hey, can you be there when we do the trial lesson or when I meet the person for the very first time?" Yeah, so that's the challenge that I've been faced most regularly as at least a teacher, a self-employed teacher in Japan. And I've found my own way to get over it. this is a message that I just want to share because I talked about this in a previous episode with Skoe, but Japan's visa regulations have changed. Before, you had to have capital of $33,000. You had to have two full-time employees, and you had to have a place, an office space already set before you can get the visa to run your business. But now, people who want to come into Japan, all they have to have is a business plan, and then they just present their business plan to, I think it's the municipality, the local municipality, and then they'll take a look at it. And if they're happy with it, they'll give you a 2-year visa, and you don't need any kind of capital for that. You don't have to have anybody hired, and you don't need to have an office space. The only thing they're expecting you to do is to socialize, to network, and to find out how you want to run your business and get it off the ground within that 2 years. And then after you find out everything that you want to do, you can go back to the municipality and apply to have your visa changed to whatever status you want it to be changed to. So that's definitely really helpful for anybody listening right now who's thinking that they want to start a business in Japan. It's a lot easier than it was before. But, and this is a pretty big but, the main hurdle is just Japanese proficiency. So you cannot expect to come in here with no money and just a business plan and not speak Japanese and be able to get that visa. You definitely have to speak Japanese. They're not going to accommodate you if you come in here speaking your native language that isn't Japanese. So, I mean, if you can at least afford like a lawyer or somebody to do the translations for you and just to take care of all the legal steps, then you should be good to go. And with that said, maybe I can move into how the pandemic affected my business, and then we can go into your challenges. I became fully self-employed in 2015. The pandemic hit in January 2020 in Japan. I think it was March in the US, but from pretty much 2017 until the end of 2019, business was good. And it's always been where like I had 2 or 3 people in a waiting list because my lessons would be full, and I'd always have people waiting for one person who either had to leave because they're moving to another part of the country or they have to focus on some kind of other studying. And so I'd always have this waiting list. But as soon as COVID hit, that waiting list went to 0. And I noticed that as like Zoom and Skype and all these online video conferencing apps started to get to pick up traction, it seems that the value of having a native English speaker kind of went down. That's been my observation with like parents, for example. When I talk to parents, like they just want everything to be convenient so the people that did leave, they tended to leave and go to what's called juku in Japan, which of course you know, Keito, which is basically a tutoring school. In British English, they call it a cramming school. And basically what they do there is if you're not doing well in school, they help you to get to the point where you need to be. And if you're trying to get into a really good school, they try to push your proficiency to whatever is necessary to pass that test. And they teach various subjects there. So they'll just put their kid in there. And those schools, they always have like for example, a Japanese teacher teaching English. And they teach mainly for testing. So I noticed that when people leave my lessons because their kid is underperforming with other subjects or mainly that, because if they move to another country, of course, that's the main reason. But if it's because they're underperforming in one subject, they'll just consolidate everything into one school, into one tutoring school. After the pandemic, I noticed that that trend started to, like people started to relax basically. And that trend started to like fade away. So now my business is starting to pick up again. And I noticed that, everything seems a lot better than it was. And then making those connections again is much easier. And I think people are starting to remember the value of face-to-face interaction versus video conferencing. Because video conferencing, you can't see their lower extremities. So like you can't see their hands like People will move their hands to make a certain point, or if they're uncomfortable, they'll sit a certain way. So you can observe the student and see a lot better how you should change what you do throughout the lesson to make sure that they're comfortable and to make sure that you're doing everything that you can to maximize their intake. Yeah. So that was my challenge that I faced with the pandemic. And then, yeah, another thing with Zoom is a lot of kids or a lot of families don't have fast internet connections, is one. And then the hardware that they have is very old. Like I had one student that was using like a smartphone from like 2011 or something like that. And the screen was really small. It was an Android phone. So the screen was really small. The resolution was really bad. The speakers were really bad. The microphone was really bad. So the student couldn't really hear me. And the kid was like 5 years old. So, of course, the first distraction that comes in, boom, their attention is there. And then sometimes they'll just get up and walk away. If the parents are not watching them, they'll just get up and walk away in the middle of the lesson. Or, or they'll just like do something in front of the camera that I can't see. Like for example, they'll just be right out of the frame, and either they'll be playing on some kind of game system they have or something. I'll be like, hello, can you hear me? And then either they can't hear because the connection got bad, or but yeah, it was funny. Every time that happened to me, it was really funny. It made me laugh. And I was just like, because I have to talk to the parents later. And I'll be like, I don't know if you noticed this, but this happened in the lesson. And then the parent would scold their kid or ask me, what should I do? And then I tell them, your internet seems to be really bad. You need to improve it. And your child needs a better device, preferably one with a larger screen. And then they ask me, do you recommend an actual, like a specific device? And I always say, get an iPad. Get an iPad. You don't have to get iPad Pro, but at least get an iPad. And then they're like, okay, okay. And then the students that are still with me now, their parents did get them an iPad during the pandemic. And then after the pandemic ended, they started coming back. So, yeah. So, what are some challenges that you've faced being self employed? And of course, because you're a YouTuber, feel free to be specific about YouTube.
Okay. Does it have to be with the pandemic
No,
stuff?
just any challenges that you've faced working completely on your own, not being employed.
Getting enough income to survive with self-employment.
Okay.
Because that is the dream, I guess, right? Like in order to get enough to live with just your self-employment.
Yeah.
And for YouTube, right? Maybe if it's like something else, like not YouTube, maybe it's easier, but maybe the platform in the YouTube is just so much competition.
Mhm.
Self-employment wise, maybe just the income is the very hard part. I had to work at, I had to find job, like part-time job. After my partner left, I was doing Uber Eats. It's like a food delivery service. I
Yeah.
was doing that in Fukuoka Prefecture.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that was very hard because my YouTube income keep getting low. Um, but my workload doesn't change, right? Because I'm doing the same thing. I go film and I edit. That part
Mhm.
never changed,
Right.
but the income will keep going down. So like I gotta work more Uber Eats, more of that part-time food delivery job, and then like when I realized I was already like working like 7 days a week like that. So I was like, yeah, I was like, I cannot do this. But yeah. I think our YouTube channel subscriber was like around 50,000
Mhm.
subscriber before the pandemic. And then when the pandemic started, especially the first lockdown in Japan, it's not like a strict lockdown compared
Yeah.
to the other countries, but
Yeah.
the first lockdown, that that really grow our channel. Like literally, I think we got 40,000 subscribers like
Mhm.
in really like short time.
Yeah.
That was because stay home, so everybody's watching YouTube,
Hmm.
and that time we were so scared that even going outside and like being in this like a same area with somebody is you might get the COVID.
Yeah.
So because but people want to do something, right? Exercise, and the skateboard was a hit because you can kind of do that by yourself.
Right. Very nice.
So the sales of skateboard, like almost every shop, they were like out of stock of like the decks and wheels and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, so it boomed crazy. So
Yeah.
our views, right? We do a lot of how to's. So yeah, the view went so high. Um, but because of that, anything, right? Anything when it trends, it goes down really fast. I think
Uh,
that's like I think that's like the reality, I feel like.
yeah.
And so yeah, so because it went crazy high, crazy trend, it went down so fast. And after that, yeah, I feel like I couldn't get the same view before the pandemic. Like maybe if I say that maybe we get about average 20,000 views,
Hmm.
and then when it was pandemic, we will get like average 50,000 view to like 100,000 views. And then when the pandemic, well, not ended, but like maybe after the first lockdown, when the second lockdown started, my view was like less than 10K. It's like 8,000 or 7,000, and that just keep
Wow.
going down.
Yeah.
Sometimes 5,000. It was really hard to reach 10K. Before 10K was like easy, but yeah, it started to become hard to reach 10K, and the income just keeps going down. I think we had maybe like a little bit over grand, like, or if I say in yen, it's like maybe almost like 130,000,
Hmm.
130K yen. But I went all the way down to like yen, so that's like 30,000 yen, which is
Wow.
like maybe if it's the rate now, maybe like it's like $200, maybe something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, that really affected me. The pandemic really like just it was like a storm like to our channel. Like
Yeah.
it grew our channel really fast, and then it pull us down really fast too.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
took down your competition and then took you with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Next, I want to kind of talk about the opportunities that being self employed opens up. Not necessarily that the opportunities that are already there, but because of the nature of that always on lifestyle and the fact that you get to control when you work versus having to clock in and clock out during somebody else's hours. You can clock in and clock out at your own hours, right? Middle of the night, middle of the day, doesn't matter. So you can really control your life and any other side projects or whatever that you want to do. So you can manage your time, you can manage your energy. And then let's say, in my case, for example, until January of this year, 2024, I had my teaching business and then a side business that I was doing with a friend, and then another business that I'm doing with my wife. And then after January, I had to step down with the one with the friend just because of job security reasons. But I'm still going to continue as a support role, basically. But right now, I'm focusing on my primary business and then the side business that I'm doing with my wife. And because I get to manage my time exactly the way that I want to, I can also have time to do this podcast, for example, which I'm just doing for, skill development and for fun, basically, for now. What kind of opportunity? I mean, it's already clear to see that the opportunity that you created for yourself was that second YouTube channel, managing your time and your energy on your own. But can you explain to me or explain to our listeners how you came up with the idea to do the English YouTube channel and how you manage the time between both of your Japanese and your English YouTube channels?
So after the, after when my channel went all in my income, my Japanese YouTube channel income went all the way down to like $200.
Hmm.
Um, I started. I skated across Japan.
Hmm.
Um, and that really helped my channel grow. Only during when I'm doing the skate across Japan, but once I finish, my income went down again. And then I went to Korea again and then do the skate across Korea. And then my income went up again a little bit. But when I finish, my income goes super down. So I'm like, this is not stable, right? This is
Yeah.
not a realistic job or business. Yes. So I was like, I gotta do something. And then I was thinking of a lot of stuff, like maybe getting sponsored or maybe do like those funding, crowdfunding.
Hmm.
Or I was trying to do this like barbecue project, selling barbecues and stuff like that. And there was so much ideas, but all of that ideas wasn't really appealing to me so much because when I think of making money too much, like it makes me not fun. So I was like, okay, but I know that when I'm busy with something I'm enjoying,
Hmm.
then I tend to do I tend to do those not fun tasks really fast. Like that was like my habit, my personality.
Yeah.
And then so I was like, at that moment, I don't know why, but it felt like starting a new YouTube channel sounded fun for me. I'm like, yeah, why don't I do a new channel? And then I have a little, I'm not really confident with my English, and I get, especially on the Nomad Push channel, I get a lot of comment, hey, your English is good, your English is better than most Americans or something like that. But so that really opened my eye. Actually, I think because I think it's because where we were from,
Hmm.
because we're not like we are U.S. citizen. I mean, I'm not U.S. citizen, but Saipan people, right, are
Hmm.
U.S. citizen, and but because we're like far from US, I think we tend to think everything like high quality, like US is, gotta be this quality like that. And that really you know, made me narrow minded with my English skills,
Oh,
I guess.
okay.
But I think, right, of course, right, if you go to US, there's not just like, like white people, but there's different races and
Exactly. Yeah.
so of course, right, of course there's, but that just, I didn't think like that. I just keep thinking my English sucks. And um but yeah, so because of that, I didn't really like to speak English like on camera. Like I feel kind of embarrassed. So I usually don't want to do the video in English, but I don't know, that time maybe something, I don't know why I think like that, but I was like, why don't I start a new channel speaking English? I don't know why I thought like that, but that was just
Yeah.
maybe like destiny or luck, or I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's how I started, and I made video really quick. Just made a quick vlog. And one more thing that made me do it is because making vlog is really easy for me. I've been doing that super long, and I know I can edit really fast, and I can think of good angles and like what do you call this? Like I can construct the video in my head really fast because I've been doing this like pretty long. So I pretty much edit in my head first, and then I can film just the necessary cut. When I was beginner, right, I'll film everything because I don't know what is the right cut. So I'll just
Right.
film whatever. And then when you start to edit, there's so many video clips, so you kind of get tired and busy. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I know that I can do that already. That's what made me start too, because I gotta still do the Japanese channel.
Hmm.
So I cannot stop that one too. So I had to make sure that I was able to do this. And so that's one reason, right? I have enough skills to do this really quick and efficient. And another thing is my life. I thought my life is interesting right now, like being kind of homeless and doing this nomadic life and meeting different people. I thought that's interesting enough if I just film that and just do a vlog. So that was like the one of the biggest reason why I decided to do it. I don't think I was gonna do it if I can if I think like my video is not interesting. I don't think I was gonna start a YouTube channel because I know there's like a line, right? You gotta pass um in order to become a good content. I feel like especially nowadays in YouTube, there's so much competition, so much content, and in order your content to stand out,
Yeah.
it has to go over this line. I cannot maybe say it.
I think you're talking about like the bar that is set. You have to go above the
Yes,
bar that's set. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, all that stuff came into place. So yeah, I just did it, and then yeah, it just really it just really grows super fast.
Yeah. Man, I really hope that your channel gets successful. I mean, it's already succeeding. I mean, but I hope it reaches the goal that you want to reach because especially as somebody who enjoys your content, I mean, of course I'm biased because I'm your friend, but I actually look forward to your videos because the content isn't cheesy. It's not cliche. It's not like some random American person coming to Japan and thinking that they can find a unique angle. This is a guy who actually lives in Japan, who's actually moving around Japan, who actually is Japanese, who actually moves and from city to city on his skateboard and meets all kinds of different people. And when I say different, of course everyone's different, but I mean different as in the people in each prefecture all have different kinds of characteristics that they share just within that community. For example, dialects and little habits that they might have. And your content shows that, it showcases that in its most natural way. If an American person comes in and tries to do the same thing, of course, the people that they meet are going to react differently to them because they're not from here. But in your case, you have that unique angle where you are from here and they will be natural around you. So I really love how all the variables play in so that everyone that you get involved with is just being themselves.
When I was doing salaryman, time management was really important, not just for your work, but to show your colleagues or your boss like that you're very organized. I think that's like maybe that might be more important. Like you want to show your coworkers that you're organized, so they trust you with the work and stuff like that.
Right.
And then yeah, but when I started self employment, that kind of became stress. Like when I tried to do the same thing because I already had that skill of time management or writing using like a planner and all that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
I was really used to it, and I try to do the same thing, but it made me more stressed. It felt like that planner is like controlling my life, and then it just made it stress. It worked out in the company like
Yeah.
salaryman, but when it becomes self-employment, it really made me stressed. And when it doesn't follow the planner, it makes me more stressed too. So I stopped doing that, and now the key for me is just I just I just always need that drive
Mhm.
and the motivation. So for me, the key to getting a good drive is just be busy with what you're enjoying, like something you're fun. And that way my brain works really fast. And and I like that, Mark Zuckerberg's
Yeah.
quote saying, done is better than perfect. So
Right.
I feel like when I was in salaryman, like I was like, don't make mistake. Like that's the how you work. Making
Okay.
mistake is the most bad thing. That's how they teach you in the Japanese company. But
Right.
self-employment, I think, is different. I think it's like you can make mistake as long as you're going forward and keep doing something.
Yeah.
So yeah, now instead of make I think I make more mistake and more like lower quality something like sometimes like in some stuff,
Hmm.
but right now I just focus on just that drive and motivation, keep going forward, and that helps working two channel. Like I'm just busy, I'll just I'll just keep doing, and then when I'm done with one task, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta do this, and then just do that. And then maybe some parts, maybe like I don't follow the schedule sometimes, but I just don't try to think too much. I'm like, just keep going. Like even though I miss one day late, just make the video again, just do it. And then it's been like that for a year and maybe half already, and it's working out for me. It's working out for me.
Yeah. Another good phrase would be progress, not perfection. Yeah. So a lot of what you just said also incorporates the mindset, but I feel like the mindset, at least in my case, the mindset that I have after being self employed in Tokyo for this long is determination is essential for your drive, right? It's the one that it drives you to move quick or drives you to make huge decisions fast. But then what ends up happening is when things start to slow down, it's positivity in the form of curiosity that ends up pushing me to be sustainable. So, like asking questions to answers that I've never answered before. So, it's like, what if I do this? I have this problem. What if I try this? Something that, of course, because insanity by definition is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's the definition that I've heard on like different movies and stuff like that. So that's the definition of insanity, right? But you get a problem, you approach it one way, it doesn't work, you approach it another way, right? And for me, that's where the satisfaction comes, the job satisfaction comes from. And it's really fun, especially because when you're employed, you work really hard and then your employer gets all the benefits, right? It's not you. But when you're self employed, everything you do comes back to you. So if you do really good, it's because of you. But of course, if something bad happens, that's because of you too. But then, of course, as part of our human nature, we're striving to move forward, right? We're not, it's not healthy to keep looking back. Yeah, emphasizing the importance of resilience for the long term commitment. What is your mentality? You said that the thing that you're doing now, you've been doing for about a year and a half, right? Is there anything that you've been doing since you first became self employed that you're still continuing up to now? And you feel like it's really important for you?
I think I the import maybe it's almost similar to what I just said, but
Okay.
something that I keep doing for sure is I never stop. I think yeah, just even though if you're not sure, just like keep moving forward.
Okay.
And I think that was like really, I mean, that's how I got to where I am right now. I feel like because maybe not every Japanese, I feel like a lot of Japanese maybe overthink, or maybe normal people, right? They have time to think, and you overthink it and you kind of get scared, and you don't have that courage to step forward. But I try to just keep moving forward, like yeah, even though maybe even, and I know that I did like so many wrong decision, but because even though you make a wrong decision, if you keep moving forward, that just becomes past, and then another chance will come to you, and then you do it again. Maybe you make mistake again, just keep moving forward. And yeah, that I feel like I've been doing that ever since from the beginning.
Okay.
Like yeah.
Okay. So to summarize your mindset that's kept you going for this long, your mindset is that you just got to keep doing something, just keep moving. And to help you keep moving for the past year and a half, what you've been doing is keeping yourself busy with stuff that's fun to help drive you to continue doing the things that aren't fun. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 And there's that famous like Steve Jobs, like he's talking doing speech in like university. He's talking about how he connect the dot. Like it sounded like he planned everything, how he quit or he got fired from Apple, and he went to India or whatever, and he started Pixar, and then he went back. All that stuff sounded like it's like a nice plan, but
Hmm.
he said everything was just a dot. Like he just did what he had to do in that moment, and then after everything is done, he just connect the dot. He makes it into like one story, right? Just connect
Yeah.
the dot. Yeah. So, and that skills, it makes sense logically, but I feel like that skills is hard to develop if you're not moving, because
Yeah,
yes,
because there's
yes.
no dot to connect.
Right, exactly too, right? So and then even if you only have like two or three dot, maybe it's still hard to connect because you don't have a story to talk to people. Maybe it's too short that I think important is you got to output more, and then when you have so many dot, you're always consistently talking to new people and about your story, and then you just get used to connecting dot and making it to like a funny story or a beautiful story, and I feel like I'm always creating a new dot because I keep making mistake
Hmm.
and and then I can feel like I'm always telling story to people. It's always different from like maybe a year ago or
Yeah,
2 year ago.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then that I think that helps organize in your head too, like and when you have a story, that even adds to your drive. You feel like you have a mission and you have a story, and yeah, so that's another reason why I feel like it's really good for me to keep moving forward and creating like a new dot.
Nice. Yeah, and I want to thank you for coming down or joining me today, especially since your channel's taking off. I know you must be like really busy.
No problem. Thank you too, man. It's always refreshing to like talking with friends and
That's it for today's episode. If you guys have any questions or any stories you'd like us to share, please let us know. And until then, excuse me, Masen, and see ya.